Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Halo Lore Firearms. Today we'll be discussing the M7 submachine gun's unique caseless ammunition, as well as discussing some possible reasons why we didn't see many other, if any, Halo weapons utilizing caseless ammunition, and also what purpose this cartridge serves. So in lore terms, the M7 SMG and its 5x23mm caseless cartridge were first used by the UNSC during the Insurrection War, and were originally intended as an emergency weapon for vehicle crews, which is quite similar to what many submachine guns and compact rifles are designed for today. It was then widely adopted throughout the UNSC as a primary weapon for close quarter combat and for its useful compactness, especially in terms of special operations. For the game side, the M7 was first introduced in Halo 2, and it served as an in-between for the pistol and the battle rifle, somewhat trying to take the assault rifle's high fire rate and usefulness in close ranges, trying to give an alternative to the assault rifle as the assault rifle was removed in Halo 2. Now on to the cartridge. There's not too much info available on the 5x23mm cartridge, other than it obviously being caseless and the bullet being a full metal jacket projectile. It does state that there is a muzzle velocity of around 1400 feet per second through the M7, which puts it around the range of 115 grain 9mm plus P ammo. Now, here's the question some of you are probably asking: what is caseless ammunition and what function does it serve? Well, caseless ammunition is combining the primer, propellant, and bullet all inside of the same case together and wrapped around in a volatile casing. So typically something that will also explode when the bullet is fired. This is compared to traditional casing, which has each component stacked on top of each other. So you'll have the primer, and then you'll have the propellant stacked on top of that, and then the bullet at the very top, closing it all in together. The benefits of this include having a much smaller cartridge itself, no need for a casing ejector as the casing is vaporized, and also weight savings too, so it reduces the complexity of the weapon without the ejector for the casing. Caseless ammunition has still yet to be adopted for any full production infantry service weapon. The closest that caseless ammunition has come to being adopted was through West Germany's Heckler & Koch G11, which was set to become the Bundeswehr's new service rifle. I just pronounced that so horribly. I'm so sorry if there's anybody German watching this. I'm sorry. And it was also tested by a couple other NATO countries, including the United States, for some of their experimental service weapon projects. This was until the Berlin Wall fell, East and West Germany reunited, the Soviet Union collapsed, and now there is no true need to adopt such a revolutionary firearm with really good armor-piercing capabilities to defeat Soviet infantry armor, as their main possible aggressor was now in shambles and their neighbor was now once again reunited. And because of this, military funding was cut, of course. So, in addition, the US military, as I mentioned, has dabbled with caseless ammunition through various different projects throughout the Cold War, and most recently with their LSAT program, which was replaced by the previously mentioned next generation service weapon from my battle rifle video. In terms of the G11, it was a marvel of firearms engineering, so it did have a couple of issues. So these were mostly in its early experimental forms. So one of the biggest problems was ammunition cook-off, and because of this, these rifles were plagued with rounds just randomly discharging and weapons exploding because of the highly volatile casing that they were wrapped in, which was basically just an explosive, honestly. But this was corrected by being redesigned and given a higher flash point and whatnot, all different stuff that remedied it. In addition, the G11 was also a very complicated firearm to operate because of the weird way it was set up and how the magazine and whatnot was set up. So it was just all around a very interesting weapon. I highly recommend you do some research on it. It is definitely something that's really cool and would have been very unique, and I hate saying revolutionary, but probably would have been some sort of evolutionary step for firearms. Maybe not revolutionary, but it definitely would have been an evolutionary step for firearms. Now, in terms of where this 5x23mm cartridge stands in the real world, it is kind of an oddball. It's a much smaller size cartridge than most pistol caliber carbines, and submachine guns. You have the MP5, which can be had in 9mm, I believe 40 Smith & Wesson, and also 10mm. The UMP, which can also be 9mm or 45 ACP, and many submachine guns throughout the world are designed around current pistol calibers, such as 9mm NATO or 9mm Makarov, or other different variations of commonly available pistol rounds. But because of this, the 5x23mm cartridge only has a little bit more muzzle velocity than a standard 9mm plus P round. So plus P is just additional pressure, additional propellant, so it gives it a little bit higher of a muzzle velocity. So typically when using smaller cartridges in military weapons, the objective is to achieve a higher muzzle velocity for armor piercing capability. So this is common with stuff like the M4 carbine, the M16 and stuff. They utilize a 5.56mm cartridge, or 223, which is the caliber of the bullet, and this allows it for much higher muzzle velocities for better armor penetrating capabilities. Now, the G11 utilized two cartridges that were around the same size, of 4.73 by 25 and 4.73 by 33 millimeter caseless cartridge. So the 4.73 by 25 millimeter cartridge could achieve a muzzle velocity of around 1900 feet per second, which, when you look at the differences, it's a bullet size of difference of about 0.27 millimeters and only a 0.02 millimeter cartridge length difference, but yet you're gaining 500 feet per second. That will raise some questions. Now, the larger 4.73 by 33 millimeter cartridge was able to achieve velocities exceeding 3,000 feet per second. This was due to different propellants and whatnot utilized in it, and this cartridge was designed to be able to penetrate most body armors utilized by the Soviets at the time. So when compared to some similarly sized case cartridges, such as a 5.7 by 28mm and 4.6 by 30mm, these are all pistol-sized cartridges that are known to exceed over 2,000 feet per second and are really designed around being able to penetrate body armor. Now, the SMG does not have great armor-piercing characteristics or good flesh damage characteristics, as it's a small full metal jacket bullet, and it's also not being fired at any real interesting speeds. In addition, in Halo 2 Vista and Halo 3 ODST, the same cartridge is utilized in a suppressed special operations variant of the M7, the M7S, but it's still utilizing the same supersonic cartridge. So in terms of performance, the 5.23mm cartridge is relatively useless. It's supersonic, so it's not well suited for suppressed applications. It doesn't feature a decent muzzle velocity, anything above 1900, 2000 feet per second, to really enhance armor piercing capabilities if it had any. The bullet itself is not really any sort of tungsten or steel penetrator. It's just a regular full metal jacket, and because of this and its smaller caliber, it's not really good for flesh damage either. It's just kind of a small bullet that's just gonna kind of be there. Of course it's gonna hurt and whatnot, but compared to 9mm, it's not going to inflict as much flesh damage as a 9mm FMJ were, or even if it was a jacketed hollow point, it still wouldn't do that much. Now finally, on to why do we not see many other Halo weapons utilizing caseless ammunition? And this can probably just be due to the fact that at the time of Halo 2's development, there really wasn't much info on caseless ammunition, nor were there any current weapons utilizing it. The G11 is the most well known and came very close to becoming an actual service weapon, but other than that, most caseless ammo firearms were just kind of relegated to some experimental testing for a couple years, and then the military was like, yeah, this is too much, okay, never mind. And most of this information wasn't really easily accessible, especially 2002, 2003, 2004, as it is today. If you really wanted to know that sort of information, you have to go through archives, read a lot of books and stuff like that, and talk to people involved in those testing programs, which was not as easy as it is now. So with this, the U.S. Army did create a new program that did utilize caseless ammunition, which was the LSAT program, which I previously mentioned, but this was well after Halo 2's release and during the later stages of Halo 3's development. So it was going to be kind of hard coming across this info at the time, as it was a new program and there wasn't much known about it as well. So for Halo 3's development, it would have made no difference. Now, with the new knowledge of caseless ammunition, as well as the Army's newest next-gen service weapon program utilizing telescoped ammunition, it would be nice to possibly see these technologies be integrated into weapons in Infinite's sandbox, as they do offer some unique characteristics that do enhance the weapon's capabilities, such as range, muzzle velocities, and other stuff. So it would be pretty cool to see that in Infinite, but that's just a wish I want as a firearms enthusiast. So this was a bit longer than my previous video, but I did have some fun with it. Please subscribe if you want to see more, and leave me your thoughts on this as well if you want me to cover a specific weapon or projectile in the future. In addition, I have also been streaming my Lasso playthroughs on Twitch. I recently completed Reach's Lasso playthrough over the weekend and did Halo 2's Lasso playthrough earlier last week as well, so those are both finished now. Now I'm on to Halo CE, and I'm currently on Truth and Reconciliation, so I'll probably be streaming it a little bit tomorrow or Friday. So if you want to come in and watch, I'll have a link in the description to my Twitch channel, so follow me or something. You'll get notifications when I go online, and next time I go online, I will be on Truth and Reconciliation on Lasso, so if you want to come watch me suffer, go ahead. So anyways, thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great one.